how to reverse engineer your way to your first $100,000 in wholesaling real estate. Guys, it's Rick Ginn, and today's video, I'm gonna break down the easiest way so you can understand how to achieve that $100,000 goal. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna break it down in 3 simple phases so you can get started on your way to 100K in wholesaling. But before I get started, do me a favor, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. You wanna start wholesaling and you wanna find the quickest way to get to 100K. And I'm here to tell you, you have to simplify this. Most gurus, most coaches way overcomplicate wholesaling. And listen, I've learned a thing or two doing this for 21 years. Plus I taught my son at age 17 how to make 100K. So if I can teach him, I can easily teach you. And I'm going to talk to you just like I talked to him. You need simple, clear-cut, precise instructions, and you're gonna have to take a ton of action on your part. You're gonna have to put yourself out there. So you have to decide up front. Am I doing wholesaling with little to no money, which is most of the people I'm talking to? That's fine. Or do you have some money and you can invest it? Either side, if you have money or you have no money, I'm going to give you the exact same instructions, because the reality of wholesaling, it doesn't matter how much money you have. The question is, how resourceful are you? Wholesaling is all about being resourceful. So for us to get to 100K, we got to get to our first deal. And honestly, this is the biggest stumbling block for most wholesalers starting out. So don't try to get to deal number 30 if you haven't got the deal number 1. How do we get deal number 1? That's the first phase of our topic today. Let's get into it. So now you've made the decision to join wholesaling. So the first thing you have to do is go over to freewholesaling.com and go through the course me and Zach have designed for you, which the good news is 100% free. I have taken away those financial curtains behind the wizard of every guru and coach in there. And I've shown you exactly what to do. Not only to get your first $100,000, you have to do it. The first phase is going to be marketing. You've got to learn to pull the right list. Now, I've got more time other than a 15, 20-minute video to go into at freewholesaling.com. And we start with marketing because that's the most important part of wholesaling, because if you don't learn how to market, it's very hard to find great wholesale deals. So we got to find our first deal. So I'm going to give you some basic rules and guidelines on where to find great wholesale deals. Make sure you stay within these check marks, because if you go outside of them, you're wasting your time and you're going to wind up being a realtor. Number 1, you got to deal with off-market properties. Sorry, it's the truth. You are not going to find great wholesaling deals on MLS. You can find them in FSBOs, but it's going to be hard. And those, in my opinion, are on-market properties because they're there. So they've got to be off-market. Number 2, you've got to buy properties from motivated sellers. There is no and or but on this. If there is no motivation for the seller, or the house isn't motivated, meaning it's not run down or anything, you are wasting your time. Honestly, this is the biggest stumbling block for wholesalers. Most wholesalers out there are just looking for properties for sale. That's not it. The most properties you'll find for sale are going to be on market, and they're going to be unmotivated sellers. So you have to stay away from it. So we need to find motivated sellers. Step number 3, you have to find people that are willing to sell their house. So if they're willing to sell their house, they're motivated, and it's an off-market property, that is the fastest way to find your first deal. Everything else is literally a waste of your time. I'm sorry. If you're going to try to learn how to flip properties on MLS, you're going to try to reach out to agents. You do not have the skill set. You don't know how to negotiate, and you don't know what to say. And you're just going to drive yourself nuts. So I've been doing this 21 years. I'm telling you, the path to your first deal, off market, motivated sellers, people that want to sell their home. So once you've gone through that checklist, now we've got to go find the best list to find motivated sellers. So in phase 1, I want you to go to the free list. That's right. I said free list. I don't care how much money you have in the bank. I need to see if you're cut out for wholesaling, and you need to cut your teeth on talking to sellers. The only ones I want you talking to are motivated sellers. Now, at freewholesaling.com, we run you through the entire gamut of every type of list you can get. Our favorite lists are always going to be government lists. And in particular, I want you to focus on code violations, eviction lists, tax delinquencies, pre-foreclosures, fire damage properties, and water shutoffs. Now, just because these lists are free doesn't mean they're easy to get. If you're doing this locally, it's much easier to do it in person. If you're doing it virtually, you got to take what you can get over the phone. And that's just how the cookie crumbles. So understanding if you're doing this virtually, locally, obviously locally, it's easier to get this information, but these lists, the reason I want you to pull them because they have the highest motivation possible. When somebody's at the risk of losing their house or they're way behind on payments, it usually forces them to take an action, which is to sell the house. And that's where you and me, the wholesaler, comes in. Notice, if we go to the list where we think there's problems, so where there's smoke, there's fire. So we go to a list where people are going to have potential problems with their house. That's where you're going to find the best deal. And that's the reason I don't want you chasing on an MLS. I don't want you buying all these coaching programs, because what they do is they show you the fastest, easiest way to get a list. And it's all easy up front, but the problem is on the back end, you're going to overpay for these properties and you're going to work for free, and it's going to be really hard on the back end. So me and Zach teach you vice versa. I'm going to teach you how to do the hard stuff up front, and the rest of it is actually easy, because if you buy great properties at discounted prices, it's easy to sell your contracts to cash buyers. Now, the reality is you're going to work your butt off to do your first deal, and you're going to have to use your sweat equity, your hustle muscle, and most importantly, since you don't have a lot of resources, you're going to have to learn to be resourceful. And that's for you, all those that say, oh, I got a ton of money, I want to cut to the front of the line. It doesn't matter in wholesaling. What if you go out and spend, I don't know, 15, 20 grand on pay-per-click and direct mail, and you have no idea how to talk to sellers? You are going to waste 15 to 20 grand. Do you understand how this works? So you have to have experience talking to hundreds, if not thousands of sellers. And once you understand how to identify the objections, how to deal with sellers, and what's the most important part, you are on your way to being a great wholesaler. And then at this point, once you pick the government list you want to attack, then the simple way that you're going to reach your message across to them is mostly going to be cold calling, a little bit of texting, and honestly, reverse driving for dollars is probably the greatest return you're going to get on these types of government lists. That's basically a technique where we teach you how to put a sticky note on the door. Why do we do it? It gets a high response rate. It's deadly accurate. It is a lot of work, but to get that first deal, you are going to have to go out of your way to get it. Don't fight doing it. And guys, don't forget simple driving for dollars. You just go out and look for ugly houses. You put them on a list, or you put a reverse driving sticky note on the door, and that's how you work. Now, by using this, how long is it going to take you to do this? This is the biggest question I probably get asked. I don't care, okay? Everybody's different. Everybody has different learning skill sets. Everyone's got different timetables. Everybody's got different stuff going on in their life. And so for me to make a general say, listen, in 90 days, you should have a deal. Listen, whatever it takes you to get your first deal, if it takes you a month, it takes you 3 months, 6 months, if it takes you a year, I don't care. Just get there. The most important thing is you cross that finish line. How long it takes you, I don't run sprints. If you want to run a marathon, just get momentum and keep building every day. The only person you're racing against is yourself. Don't look at other people on the internet. It will discourage you. Remember, run your own race and try to get your PR every day you go to work in wholesaling. So this will get you well on your first deal. And at this process, once you start talking to sellers, you're going to learn how to qualify them. To learn more how to do that, go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you MCTP, which is our acronym, which is our 4 qualifying questions. That will let you know if you're dealing with a motivated seller. Remember, no motivated seller, no wholesale deal. It has nothing to do with wholesaling if they're not motivated. I don't care what you say. I've been doing this 21 years. I've rarely ever gotten a deal unless there's some form of motivation. So that first deal should net you anywhere between 5 and 15K. Depending on your skill sets and depending on timing and how the chips fall, that's how it is. And honestly, that first deal is an amazing victory because you're that much closer to getting your 100 grand. So now we got to move on to phase 2 of getting to your $100,000 goal in wholesaling real estate. And at this point, you've made just a few bucks, not a lot, but now we got a little bit of money to put back into the business to use some of the paid advertising services. The reason I want you to do this now is you understand the value of a lead that you can actually pay for as opposed to going out and getting it on your own. And you're going to treat it with a much higher value. And number 2, you'll probably have already talked to 1,000 plus sellers at this time. You understand what you're listening for. You understand how to do the qualification process, and you understand the basic premises of how to negotiate a wholesaling deal. I can't do that whole thing in this short video. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I promise you, me and Zach go into grave detail and teach you how to do this. So now we're on our way to what we call paid list. And these are services we use, List REI, Zach.com. It's endless in what we do. And you can check these all out at freewholesaling.com. And basically, we're going to get a list and basically we pull information. Now, a lot of these services, you can pull up to 10,000 leads per month, more than you're ever going to need, especially when you start out. And We have what we call a high equity list. We're going to have a vacant list, and we're going to have a tired landlord list. And once again, at freewholesaling.com, I give you the exact parameters to go through to get the highest success rate. It's going to vary a little bit market to market, but you'll get the general idea of what we're looking for. And basically, you get your list, and you're going to basically rip through this list. And by the way, the cost of this list is nominal. It's very, very small. It's much cheaper than having an employee. And then this is how you start to put volume in your business, because we need to do more than one deal to get to 100K. So our goal really is to try to get to 5 deals as soon as possible so we can approach that 100K. So once I do these lists, I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to reach out to the sellers, and I'm mostly going to do cold calling. I'm going to do SMS texting through launch control, or I'm going to do reverse driving for dollars. And honestly, at this point, you're going to get better at it. You're definitely more confident. You're more experienced. And this should pocket you at least another 3 deals. Once again, the biggest question is, how long is it going to take me to get there, Rick? That is only a question that you can answer. I can't do it. Zach can't do it. Your mom can't do it. Your sister can't do it. Honestly, I don't care how long it takes you to get there. The question is, do you get there? So if you look at a finish line of a race, sprinters fly by you and then they sit and rest. Marathon runners keep going and they build momentum. Be a marathon runner. Don't be a sprinter. Get through phase 2. This should add another 45, 50K to you. And that puts us around the 50, 60K mark. And you're making progress. At this point, you're approaching 5 deals if you're already not there. And that's going to move us on the phase 3 to reverse engineer getting to your first 100 grand in wholesaling real estate. And guys, in phase 3, this is where it gets fun. Now you understand every objection coming at you. You understand how to deeply qualify people. And at this point, you've realized that wholesaling is just the fundamentals of finding off-market properties for deep discounts from motivated sellers and basically selling your contract to cash buyers. So now you know where to find the deals. So now we just have to scale it up. So the next phase we're going to add to it is doing probates. Why do I do probates? Because I want you to get the foundation of wholesaling down. Probates is basically when somebody passes away and they're entitled to a property, and the judge has to determine via a will who is going to be in control of that asset, of taking ownership. And they have a process that goes through. They appoint what they call a PR, a personal representative. And I teach you how to find this representative, reach out to them, send them a letter, do what we call a warm call, and see if they have any interest in selling the property. And the reason I love these properties, they're the best deals in wholesaling. Now, there's not a lot of leads with it, 40 to 50 a month per county, depending on the size, but the profit level is 3 times your average assignment contract in wholesaling. That's why if you could do between 1 and 3 probate deals a year, you will make an instant extra 100K alone off of this. But let's just find you one, okay? So get started in probates. Some of you have the luxury of pulling them online, which is great when you do it virtual. And if you're a local market, you can either get it online or go in person to get it. Now you're going to get some resistance on getting this list, but you're going to overcome it with persistence. You definitely want to add this to it. And then what we're going to do is go back to our paid list, and we're going to increase those numbers. And you can use multiple lists to get between 10 and 30,000 leads a month. At that point, you're employing all marketing means necessary: cold calling, SMS texting, direct mail. And then we're going to add a little technique we call on just networking with realtors, having them bring us deals. Yes, there's a way you can do it. It's not on the MLS. You got to train your realtors how to do it. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I teach you all this in detail, but I want to get you started. I want you to get excited, but I want to give you the truth on how to get there. You have to go through this 3 phase. Most of you are trying to get to 100K and you skip phase 1 and 2, and you'll never figure out 3 because it's like a math course. If you don't understand chapter 1, you can't go on in 2 and 3. Now, at this point in phase 3, you should easily find 5 additional deals, which will net you between 50 and 75,000. Phase 1, 2, and 3, these techniques, well north of 100K. And guys, this is exactly how I did it. This is exactly how I taught my son to do it. And then everybody who works with me, these are the skill sets I teach you. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care where you come from. If you can't understand how to do free list and cut your teeth on learning how to work with motivated sellers, it doesn't matter how much money you have, because you're just going to go through it and you're going to quit the business. Now, the real question is, how long does it take me to get to 100K? Well, how long is it going to take you to get through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 will be the ultimate determinant. Remember, we wants you to run a marathon. Marathon is consistent. You keep going. Sometimes you slow up, sometimes you pick up. A sprinter runs and then they stop because they use their ego to try to impress you. Listen, if you really want to stay in wholesaling, you're going to have to commit to it. You're going to have to make sacrifices. And remember, I don't care how long this takes you. Once you get it, it is a skill set that will last you the rest of your life. Make sure you understand it. You take the time to learn how to do it. And make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com so we can jumpstart you and get you through phase 1, 2, and 3 to reverse engineer your way to your first 100K in wholesaling. So guys, let me know in the comments if you're using these steps. Let me know if a commitment I'm in at 100K. And as usual, if you got value from this video, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is Rick Ginn, and I'll see you in the next video.